Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of May 18, 2022, and welcome back everyone into the City Council chambers. The City Council will be conducting our weekly council meetings hybrid. This will allow us to reach members of our community who wish to participate via Zoom or those who wish to attend in person in the chambers this evening. It is our hope to continue this format to be as accessible as possible to our community. For those who wish to participate via Zoom, you may find the public comment registration form on the City of Everett website under City Council Department. Once you go to Register Here to provide comment via Zoom, you will need to fill out the form completely if you wish to provide public comment at a future meeting. After the public comment form is submitted, you will receive an email confirmation with the Zoom link and the phone number in the meeting. Participants must submit this form at least 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Forms submitted after that time will not receive the Zoom link number to speak, but may still participate that day of the meeting by coming in person to the council chambers right up before the meeting begins. Please note that we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office, and we also do not accept comments based on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. With that, Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmembers Arlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Fossey.
Here.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
President Stonecipher.
She is excused.
Councilmember Toohey.
Here. With that, I would like to ask Councilmembers Arlingo to lead the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Thank you. And I would like to ask Councilmember Vogely to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you much. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shtahopsh people, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you for that. Now, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of May 11th, 2022?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Councilmember Schwab, second.
Thank you. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan.
Abstain?
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmembers Arlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey.
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Toohey.
Yes. Thank you. And moving on to the Mayor Franklin. Good evening.
Good evening, council members. I have just a couple of things. First, I want to acknowledge the tragedy that happened in Buffalo this past week. It was a horrific act of violence and one I never hope to see again anywhere. Sadly, Everett is not immune to those who resort to violence. And I want everyone in our community to know that our city staff, our Everett Police Department, our elected leaders, we take acts of hate and violence very seriously. And we will continue to do all we can to make sure that this is a safe and inclusive community free of hate. And our hearts are with those that lost loved ones. And then I just wanted to update our council that I will be announcing a hire of our new resource development and sustainability manager, which I know you'll be excited about because the big part of that role will be to seek federal and state funding, which there is ample available right now, and we do not have a team member that's dedicated to that work. So look forward to making that announcement in the next few days. And with that, I have no further comments this evening.
Thank you. I will now move to public comment. Nicole, have we received any comments from the community for public comment this evening?
No one has signed up to speak online or in the crowd today.
All right, thank you. Moving on to council comments and liaison reports. Tonight, I'm going to just start the order reverse. So we'll start with Councilmember Schwab and go this way.
Thank you, Mayor, for your comments. Just a couple of quick things. I attended the Association of Washington Cities Legislative Priority Committee, and recently they sent out a survey to city leaders. It reached 35 cities, various sizes, and the top two issues they identified was public safety and criminal justice, specifically to recently passed the Senate Bill 5476 and the results of the communities. And the second one was housing and homeless, specifically the supply of housing and the rise in rental rates. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fosse.
Thanks. I wanted to thank Mayor Franklin for your comments regarding our neighbors in Buffalo. And now can you hear me? Yeah, I wanted to just give my thanks to Mayor Franklin for your comments regarding our neighbors in Buffalo and that incident, and for reiterating the priority of this city to be inclusive. And I just want to assure our neighbors here that hate has no home here, and we all stand united with that. I was able to attend several meetings this last week. One of them was the Riverside Garfield Park celebration, and it was really lovely seeing many of our neighbors come together and celebrate improvements to our parks that they had, worked long and hard for, and that was probably the best celebratory cake I've had in a good year or two. So, well done, Riverside. And I was able to attend the Went Awards last week and award one of our own neighbors in Delta for their work of bringing arts to the community and the impact that they have had. And there was a number of just amazing awards given to members of our community that have worked long and hard bringing the arts to youth and bringing the arts to this community. And it was very heartwarming to just be surrounded by so many people that just love Everett so much. It was a long award ceremony, but it was definitely worth it. I was able to attend the Bayside neighborhood meeting last night, and a special thank you to our police that were there. It was, I stayed the whole time, and it was a lively discussion, riveting conversation. And so thank you for being there for that whole time. I know you guys are stretched thin. And then we had our planning committee meeting, was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, this week. And we, of course, had our regular updates on the comp plan and going over, what it's looking like for the transit coming for us with the light rail. And then we also had a discussion regarding two planning commission topics about revising regulations for homeless shelters and housing, and then also consideration of removing limits on residents and dwellings. If you're wanting an update on that, you can watch the most recent planning commission meeting. And there is also some concerns that were brought to at least my attention with regards to commercial buildings and adaptive reuse and that kind of grandparent in use, and we think that we've come up with a fix for that, so there'll be more info coming on that. So I just wanted to say thank you to our planning staff for working diligent and hard on that in the background. So more will be coming on that And that's about all I have for today.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Zarlingo.
I'd also like to thank Mayor Franklin for her comments. One of the reasons that I chose Everett when I moved here now more than 40 years ago was because of its diversity. And it's gotten more diverse, and I really appreciate that. I hope we can all support that. Let's see, as Councilmember Fossey mentioned, we had a planning committee meeting, and our new structure includes sort of cross-fertilization, cross-connections between the different committees, the chair and then the other members, and I was happy to be part of that. And it was a good reminder about how planning connects with other areas like transportation and infrastructure, where I focus. We need to do all these things right. We need to understand all the implications, and I appreciate her organizing that meeting, and I appreciate the update from Director York and his, Planning Director York and his team. I had a really interesting and enjoyable tour of the Everett Rowing Association and their cooperative work with the Parks Department at Langus Park. They have a big shell house there. That is something they provide. It's kind of an amenity for the city. It's both recreation and competition opportunities for young people from all around the county. And I was particularly encouraged. It's a way for us to make best use of the parks facilities we have and to leverage funding and volunteer hours from sources beyond the city. It's also a way to get some scholarship money. I look forward to learning more about this, but it's a chance for scholarship money for college students. A much higher percentage of them in rowing get it than in other sports. So some neat ways there to help some underserved aspects of our community, and we'll look forward to working with parks to expand these kinds of things. Quick note also, I'm starting to see the bird scooters out on the curbs. I haven't seen them in action yet. I've seen them in small rows, but it's nice to see them there. I wasn't aware it was quite so soon, but appreciated the briefing on that and happy to see that way. With gas now even at Costco over $5 a gallon, electric mobility is going to be even better for us. And that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you very much. Vice President Tui. Let's see. First, driving down here, yes, driving. It was so bizarre to see Epic Ford and their lot empty. So I knew it was coming, but then boom, there it was. So just thought I'd mention that. And also driving here just beforehand, I ordered my Orca card and will be using the bus more. I swear it, I will. And considering most of my colleagues' sentiments about gun violence, this month, May 2022, has seen 33 mass shootings so far and 201 mass shootings this year. And about a month ago, 3 instances, not mass, but still gun violence, right here in Everett. Gun violence is preventable, and I think that we can do something about it. And I'm working on it, as I think we all are. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah, there's been a lot of highs and lows these past couple of weeks. Definitely one of the highs was going to the Went Awards. It was really inspiring to hear about art and artists in the community, and I'm really proud that our city is one of the first in the nation to establish a reliable funding stream for public arts through the 1% for the Arts Fund. So that's a really amazing commitment, and we can see it when we go downtown and see the public art pieces and the murals, and so I'm just really excited about that aspect of our community that brings really great livability to our spaces. Some of the lows have been going to the Bands Off Our Bodies rally and just really fighting for abortion rights and worried about LGBTQ rights, and just glad that we live in a state that's protective of those. The horrific events of domestic terrorism in Buffalo are just awful and sad, and so there's just a lot of tender hearts right now. So just a reminder to be kind to yourself and to others. I'm going to take a quick drink of water, please. On Monday, I attended the Lowell Neighborhood Association meeting, and I heard from neighbors again about concerns about speeding in their neighborhood. And since last month's meeting, I had a chance to reach out to staff, and it was really helpful to pass along concerns. And Public Works is going to clear some bushes that are in front of the speed limit signs, and there's going to be some work to get some trailers in the community. So hopefully, we'll be able to address some of the speeding concerns. I also attended the Bayside Neighborhood Association meeting, and they were really glad to hear about the resolution last week for the ARPA dollars and allocations. And one question was that they'd like to hear more about the measurements of success, about the dollars that are spent on unsheltered populations. So I'll be reaching out to follow up with administration to hear more about what those measurements look like and how can we measure success with the pallet shelters, and I can pass that along. They're also really glad to hear about the Clean Up Everett event, and just really there was an audible cheer in the audience, honestly. One person mentioned connections with the Conservation District or some other recycling opportunities, so I'll be reaching out to Nicole to ask more about that, to pass along to the community, because they were really curious about ways that we can do the Clean Up Everett event and also practice really great environmental stewardship at the same time. So the Bayside meeting was in the auditorium at the library, and then I adjourned to a conference room for the library board meeting. And it was really exciting. There's a lot of really great work going on at the library, and I just really wanted to share about. First, they have a intern social worker that they're working with right now, and there's a live survey out in the wild right now for folks to fill out to share what types of things they would like to see a social worker at the library focus on, different types of services or needs that they see in the community. So please take a look for that survey to fill out. They shared that the Everett Women's Book Club, the founders of the library in 1894, passed along 3 donations from the fundraising events that they do to the library. And one of the donations was a very first time endowment from their endowment fund. So that's really exciting that the library will be able to put that to good work. They also announced the summer reading program. So there's reading programs for pre-readers, readers, teens, and adults are coming back too. So that's really exciting. So take a look at epls.org/summer for the different events coming for the summer reading program. The theme is Oceans of Possibilities. And I'm personally excited that one of the youth programs, one of the authors that's coming is R.L. Stine, and my inner 12-year-old is really, really thrilled about that. So I just wanted to mention that. And when I was leaving the library board meeting, a person on a bird scooter was zipping up the hill along Everett there. So I wrote that down real quick for you. So one of the threads that I saw in common with all of these meetings was mentioning about housing and homelessness concerns. And Snohomish County recently released their point-in-time count, and it showed an increase in homelessness in Snohomish County. And it's such a sad situation, just knowing how many unsheltered neighbors we have in the community. And studies and data have shown that it can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $35,000 to help an unsheltered person get back on their feet, depending on how many resources are needed. And it's just such a heavy lift for our entire region. And I also heard from folks at the meeting that they have seen neighboring jurisdictions drop off unsheltered people here in Everett, where the resources are located. And, you know, as the largest city in Snohomish County, we do have the most resources, but we shouldn't be the only city with resources in our community. And I really feel like the burden should be better split among the community. So if other jurisdictions are planning to bring unhoused people to Everett to pass along that financial burden, I would expect that they could do their part to share the financial burden. So they're more than welcome to mail a check for anywhere from $10,000 to $35,000 to our city clerk's office. Address is 2930 Wetmore Avenue, Suite 1A, Everett, Washington, 98201. Last but not least, I just wanted to share that I'm proud to mention that I was appointed to the National League of Cities Human Development Committee, and will be taking the stories and perspectives that I hear in Everett to the federal level to hopefully influence policy change at the federal level. So very exciting. So that's all I have. That was very long. Thank you.
Great, and thank you and congratulations. Councilmember Vogely, you had something?
Yes, sorry, one more thing. There was a death of one of our unhoused individuals, Pebbles, a couple of weeks ago, and their memorial service is Friday at First Presbyterian Church, just over there from 6 to 7. So if anybody wants to join, I will be there
right.
saying goodbye.
Thank you for that. Well, I want to thank everybody, the mayor and everybody, for your comments regarding that horrific incident in Buffalo. And it just is a reminder how vigilant we have to be with no tolerance with hate crimes. So I think we're all in there on that one. I have a couple things. I was able to attend the Mayor Art Awards, which was great. I think Mary Fossey wrapped them up quite nicely. I want to thank the staff for putting that on. It's a lot of work. I just want to say a thank you to Fire Station 1. They came to the rescue for the Shack Art Center on Friday last week when someone was doing repairs up on the third floor in the apartments, and the fire alarm went off, and then sprinklers on the third floor went off, and this water came down through the gallery. And when they came in to make sure everything was okay, we were running around because, we have an exhibit up, and they ran out and got some big tarp and got some tarps and helped us cover all the artwork, and we calmed down, and they were great. So thank you to Station 1. They were actually pretty funny. We enjoyed them. And then this past Monday, I got my police ride-along with Officer Given, and it's very eye-opening if you haven't done it yet. I know Mary did. Mary Fossey, Councilmember Fossey has. I was so impressed with all the tasks that they have to do all at the same time. And she'd had 30 calls prior to my getting there in the morning, and we were just nonstop rolling. One of the things I thought was really interesting, her take on Everett, which is, she says, is why she wanted to work in Everett, is that Everett, she was looking for a smaller mid-sized city with big city issues. And that's how she describes it, and I think that's just right on, so. We did talk about the need of a drop-in shelter or services in South Everett, and how that would be a real help. I've already talked to Julie Willie about it, and I know that she's been in conversations with the county, so I'm really going to be pushing that in our next Homeless and Housing Committee meeting. So anything we can do to help, I think is great. So anyway, I can't say enough. Chief Templeman, you have a great team. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. And then last night I was able to attend the Delta neighborhood with the mayor, and we were there we had police and fire and planning there, so we had kind of a long meeting, but we covered a lot of territory, and they're a great neighborhood. So that was really fun. It was great to be there, so. Okay, do we have any update from administration?
I'd just like to make one request of council. There's several council inquiries or inquiries from constituents that have come via council members that our staff are working on. I think we all know how hard they work and how stretched thin they are. And so I'd appreciate, and they would appreciate patience as they continue to meet those requests within the other priority work that they have. So appreciate some patience. Thank you.
All right, will do. Moving on, do we have anything from the city attorney tonight?
Thank you. No comment and no executive session.
All right, thank you. Moving on, do I have a motion for the 7 consent items?
Councilmember Vogely so moves.
Councilmember Ryan seconds.
All right, thank you. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Vice President Tui.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Are there any questions on the 3 proposed action items? These items were read into the record last week, so I will not read them tonight. Are there any questions or comments from City Council? And I'm not seeing anyone in the audience, so, okay, we will move on then to our 1 action item. Action item number 11, Council Bill 2204-14, third and final reading, adopt the proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 3136-09 and repealing ordinance number 2682-03. Do I have a motion?
Councilmember Ryan so moves.
Okay, a second?
Vogely seconds.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions, comments?
Just a
Councilmember
quick
Ryan.
comment that I appreciate the consideration for military families to make sure that they're protected. So just want to
All right.
mention that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Vice President Tui.
Yes. And with no further business and no executive session, we are adjourned.